Let's rip it. My sound. Still fiddling with it. So today I'm going to try to implement something similar to what slime has with a Control-C, Control-J. I believe it's slime-eval-last-expression-in-repl. And in slime, it's bound to Control-C, Control-J. And what that does is, if you have your file, let me go ahead and open up Sly. It's going to open up the other way, but I'll move it. And if you write some code over here, and then hit Control-C, Control-J, it jumps over here, pastes that code over here, and then runs it. If you're up here in the file, then it jumps down to the endpoint, basically, and then does that. If you're in a package, which this part I don't know how to do, so I'm not going to do this yet. I don't really know anything about messing with Emacs shortcuts or messing with Emacs. I just mess with common Lisp, never Emacs Lisp. So it's going to see the package. If you have a def package and an in package, it'll pick up what package the code is in, jump over here, change the package, then run the code, then change the package back. And if you prefix it with your Control-C, Control-J with the Control-U, then when it jumps over here and changes the package, it won't change the package back. It'll just keep it in whatever the file had. So that part I don't know how to do. I can figure out, like, because Sly has, down here, Sly has like a package. You can see what package I'm in, I guess. Like, you can say sly-mrepl guess package. It'll guess what the repl's doing when you're over here. But I don't know how to do it in this file over here yet, without running up and seeing the in package, which I think Slime, that's what it does, is if it can figure it out, it does, but if it sees like an in package, whatever right here, then it just jumps up and grabs this, I'm guessing. I don't know how it works, but I don't, like in Slime, there's seems to be a lot more commands for underlying commands for that. I don't know if Sly renamed something else or they just didn't add that stuff in there. I don't know. I just couldn't find some of that stuff that I was looking for, but I didn't look very long either. So the other thing is, when I was doing this, which I'm hoping those errors are gone, I kept getting the error. What was it? It's like when you're marking, let's see, the mark is not set now. Set now. So there is no region, I think. Something like this. But they're like, my code is marking a region, but I was using interactive R, and I'm thinking that with interactive R, a mark always has to be set. But all you have to do is hit Control Space, which will start setting the mark, right? But you don't have to move it or nothing. You just come over here, hit Control Space, and then Control G, and then run the commands, and they work fine. And it doesn't happen all the time. It only happens sometimes. When, like, you open up a new buffer, I don't know. It's just really weird. So at first I just started like yanking. Well, my first workaround was to just yank the sexp and then get rid of a lot of the other stuff and just use a regular interactive command like this. But then I'm not just yanking, but kill sexp. I was using kill sexp, and then yanking it and putting it back. But now that file is going to be modified, so every time you try to close that file, it's going to say that it's been modified. So That was kind of like a annoying workaround, basically. So I'm just going to call it copy-to-repl and eval, let's say. And then this part right here, I don't know if I need these, but when I was using the other interactive commands, I did. And then I'll just make them optional so I don't actually have to use them. Let's just put begin end. And then, I don't know, like, can I put like a doc string in here? So, copies previous sexp to repl and executes. And executes. It's also going to jump to the end. Maybe like endpoint. Bottom of buffer, maybe. And evals. That's okay. I don't know, like I should probably just do this in the init file, but I don't know, like testing out stuff. I guess you don't have to save it, but I could mess up the file or something and not realize it, so I'm going to try to get it working before I copy it over there. So basically, I'm going to run the command backward-sexp, which if I hit Control X, Control E, since I'm in the scratch buffer, I can test it out, and now my cursor jumped to the other side. So basically, I'm going to be at the whatever I want to do, and then it's going to jump backwards, and then it's going to run mark-sexp. And if I jump backwards, and then down here I can hit Alt-X and type, Alt-X, mark-sexp, and it marks it. That interactive R, before I run all this, I have to put my interactive command, don't I? So, interactive. I was using R before, and although I'm making a mark, I always create this. I think it wants this before it starts running stuff there to have been a mark, I guess. So it was working and not always working. And then I think this P maybe is if you want to add a Control U to your command for like a prefix. And then the one I ended up using now is just to put an if here and check like use region P. And then list. And then you have these right here. Region beginning. Region end. But I don't know, like in the way I'm have it coded, or I'm coding this, if those are going to be even used or not. But it seems to be working, so I don't want to mess with it. Maybe some other time I'll dig more, because I don't mess with elisp at all. This is the first time I try to and actually really what I really want to do is when I'm typing over here, because I'm always in my REPL, never in the files usually. When I'm in my REPL testing, once I'm done, I want a command that does kind of the reverse of this and pops it over here. So whether I use this command a lot or not, I will use the other one if this one works. So we mark this XP, and then before I was just using kill sexp, but that's when it modifies the buffer. So we're gonna save it, kill ring save, and then here we're gonna use the region beginning and region end But now if you set this, then I think it ignores these two and just uses whatever's there. So I don't know if I should use this or not. But like, I just want what is there, and something else might be able to change the mark, so I'm guessing that I'll keep this here. Because in the documentation, that's just what it says. Like, the kill ring save is when you highlight something, hit Alt W basically. So we could say Alt HK. Sorry. Is it Control H? K describe key. Oops. See, then I put that K up there. But anyway, now I'm going to hit Alt W and bring this up and then fix this. This is why I don't want to be in my inet file. Talking and hitting Emacs shortcuts at the same time. As a Vim user is not the smartest thing, I guess. It says something right here, though. When called from Lisp, which is what we're doing now, save in the kill ring the stretch of text from beginning to end, unless the optional region is non-nil, which I'm setting it to T, in which case ignore these two and save the current region instead. Like, sounds like it's saying copy what's highlighted, or ignore it and copy what's highlighted. I don't know. But maybe these guys right here are these right here, begin and end, and then now I'm using these. I don't know. Like, I think these two have to be set, but this one does not. So I don't really understand exactly what it's saying, but like, it seems like I want to use this one. So now after I copy that, I want to go forward sexp. So now I'm right back where I started. And then this part, let I'll call it slyrepl, and then give it sly-mrepl. There's already a command, sly-mrepl, that you would think it's going to do what I want it to do. I misspelled repl. Down here, it's showing there's a buffer sly-mrepl. I thought that was supposed to switch to it. So let me queue out of here. And then maybe because that other thing was over there. Because that's what Control CZ. By default, there's a Control CZ. It's probably because I'm not in the Lisp file though. So let me go ahead and open up a Lisp file just to test this out. Let's go to junk Lisp, and then now that command's not going to work because it's not a elisp buffer though. If I'm over here and hit Control CZ, it says Control CZ is undefined. If I go back over here and hit Control CZ, then notice it jumped over here. And if that is some other file, and I hit Control CZ, then it makes the one I'm in become the REPL. And that's the functionality I want. If the REPL's here, jump over there. But because sometimes I'm in a full screen in the REPL or full screen in the code and just toggle back and forth rather than have two screens. So I do want it to be different. Basically just re-implement what the sly-mrepl does. But when I call it from Lisp code, it doesn't keep that functionality for some reason. Probably because I'm doing it wrong though. And then right here, I'm going to define a variable, like a let variable, to be this, because sometimes I run multiple REPLs. I don't know what's going to happen if I have multiple REPLs, if it's going to get confused or not. So I'm just going to say, pick this REPL, the first one, or whichever one I'm running right now, and then all my other commands, instead of calling sly-mrepl, it's just going to call this, so it's always the same buffer, basically. Because I don't know any better. And this right here, I think, is the only variable I'm going to need. So we can come down here now. And then this is going to be an if. And this right here is basically going to choose whether to keep the buffer or not, basically. So get buffer window. Just tab complete this to make sure that, yeah, that's it. Get buffer window. And then slyrepl. And if it's visible, down here, I think by default it's all frames. And right now I just care about the visible one. So if that's visible, then I want to switch to buffer other window. So buffer other window, and then it's not complaining that maybe because I don't know how to spell buffer. Like I was hitting tab, it wasn't working. I hit Control Alt I, and then it worked. But now tab works, so keep that in mind that you can use Control Alt I. And then the one I want to switch is to the one I created, the variable slyrepl. And then else, I want to switch to buffer slyrepl. And close my let. So I don't need it anymore. And then now we're supposed to be in the REPL, whether it's in the current buffer or the other window over there. So I'm over there, and then let's say the cursor's right here. Then if I try to type down here, it's saying text is read only, which I can't highlight it. I always come around and move my mouse, and then it doesn't get picked up in the screen, so somehow I gotta change the way I do that, because I'm always wiggling my mouse like that. And my hard drive's not the biggest thing, so I don't want to make the recording higher, I guess. That might fix it. So here, I was using like in buffer. So if I type in buffer, yeah, there's other stuff here. In buffer. It was buffer end. I thought it was in buffer. End of buffer. And then hit Control XE. It jumped to the end of the buffer. But then I saw there's also go to char, and point max. I don't know which one's better to use. But this one I didn't know. Like I saw point max, but I didn't know there was a go to char point max. And then now I want to paste, which is yank. And then we're going to call sly-mrepl return, which is just a command that sly by default when you're in the REPL calls. So when I'm over here in the REPL and hit like +11, then when you hit enter, it's calling sly-mrepl return. So Control XE that, and then down at the bottom, you can see it created a function, copy-to-repl-and-eval. And then to be able to use this, I'm going to add a hook for a keyboard shortcut. And I want to say this is where interactive comes in. When you use this interactive command, then you're letting it be able to use a shortcut. If you take this interactive command out and try to run it, then I think I've seen that though, so I'm not sure I'm positive about this. I don't know, but I see people using without interactive, but I think they're global keys. and this is not a global key. It's a hook into Lisp mode. I don't know any of this is for sure. This is just what I picked up, and I've never even coded really on elisp before, so. But if you're messing with inet files and looking at stuff or using other people's code, you see stuff. So I don't know how much anything I'm saying is ever true, really. But it's just what is in my mind of how stuff works. So now we have local set key, keyboard, and control return. Like this. That's how we do this. And then I also don't know because I see it both ways in code. Some people have this symbol here, and then some people have it like this, like we're actually saying it's a function. So I think you can use it either way. But I don't know which one's proper, like in Common Lisp, the sharp quotes or the she quote. I don't know what they call it in Common Lisp. Like a she bang in Unix. And then here we'll say Control X, Control E. And then down at the bottom it says I added a hook and did a bunch of other stuff. And so now if we switch over to junk.lisp, some of these spaces here, then should be able to come over here and hit Control Return. And now it jumped over here and ran that code. It pasted it here and ran it. I guess I didn't make it where it indents it nicely either, though, which I don't care about at the moment. And then normally whenever you run, like compile a code or whatever, it doesn't actually switch the package, which it's doing now. And it seems to be working, so I'm going to do this and just see if it works, where it switches this buffer over, and it does. So I'll switch back over here and split my window again. And then E, go back to my scratch buffer, Control XO, and apparently I didn't have my, I hope I didn't have it over there anyway. Apparently I didn't have my REPL over there when I did that. There we go, it's working. Then I keep, well, I have to for my code, I guess. I have to go to the end of the line because of the way I have it written. And so now it seems to be working. So the only other thing to do would be to grab this code over here and add it to the inet.el. Then restart and make sure everything works.